Boxes to builds, and we're going to the East Coast again. Welcome back to the McGolf Shop. Jim McCleary. We're going to do boxes to builds, and where we are going to talk about at McGolf about club reviews, club repairs, club fittings. If you would, like and subscribe, swing and hit that bell. That way you get more of these videos when they drop. Boxes to builds. We are just slamming it with boxes to builds. And that's a good thing, because in every one of these videos we learn a little bit of something about golf equipment. Whether you're doing it from repair or whether or not you're wanting to get it repaired. Either way, it works for me. Now, in the last couple, we've sent a set to Texas. We've sent a set to West Virginia on a kind of a review boxes to builds. And that's, now we're on to the third one, right? The third one, we're going to Columbia, Maryland. We're going to take care of William. All right, and what are we doing? Now, this is where a story gets interesting. Epics, Callaway Epics, all right? Callaway Epics. The funny part about this is what's in my bag, all right? I like the Callaway Epics. What is the Callaway Epic? Well, the Callaway Epic was a club purely designed, straight aimed for the PXG people, all right? The Epic was designed and touted as the most techy type iron that there was. It was a forged club. And this is the 8 iron. We'll give you the 8 iron look. And there's the 8 iron. Okay. Came in a regular and a pro model. Had a various amount of shafts that you could put in there with it. Actually came in a smoke color, I believe, if you really wanted that. Had forged face. I believe it was cup face too. Very thin. Had a lot of supports in the back. Just the standing wave weight technology that went in it. And the reason why I liked it is because it had a generous sole, right? I call it generous sole, basically wider than most but not as wide as some. Had about a medium low offset, hitting all the marks that I need, because when I swing my tendency is to hit behind the ball, and this is what I need to get out. And just a little bit of face closure so that it helps me get to the ball to square. Now, here we go. What are we taking out? We're taking out the XP95s, all right? We're taking out the XP95s, and we're putting in this. And Jim, you're like, oh geez, Creminelli, what's all that about? Well, it's a chrome shaft. It's a black chrome shaft, but it's the KBS S Taper S Plus. The S Taper S Plus is going to be a much stronger shaft than the XP95. The XP95 is a nice shaft to be sure. It's made for certain players. Certainly it's a 95-ish gram shaft, so a smoother, easier swinger, even though you're faster, would like that. If you needed help with ball getting into the air, that would be one of those shafts. The S Taper is a much stronger club, all right? It's for a guy with a later release, maybe a little more aggressive transfer, and it still has enough, it's a medium trajectory, lower spin, medium type spin type club. So if this was the XP95, all right, XP95, the S Taper would be more like this. So William must be a stronger golfer, that's all I can say. Now, here we go. What are we going to talk about when we make these clubs? When we take these apart, do we know if we have a taper tip or a parallel? My guess it's parallel. Okay, my guess is parallel. What do we have when we have these? We got to check. So I get my handy dandy ruler, my handy dandy checker, right? And the first hole here is for a taper tip. Ooh, it almost goes in. That's a good clue that it might. Now, this is a chromed, all right, this is a regular chrome shaft with a coating on it. So it very well may not fit in here. Let's check the 370, which is this one. Now, here's how I know it's the taper. You see that wobbling around in there? So if it's very wobbly in there and it's really tight in there and it does move in there, then this is a taper tip shaft. In the last boxes to build, I ran into the exact same thing, except for somebody already had done the shaft change and basically filled up the void, right? So we have a taper tip, which is commonly a 355, going into a hosel that is parallel, which is commonly 370. So there's that space you got to fill in, right? And it's not the entire length, it's only a portion of that length. So what we do is we use one of these. All right, we use one of those. It's a shim. All right, now there in the day, guys used to cut up shims. You know, it used to be for, it wasn't uncommon if they cut up a aluminum can. But all you were doing was shimming pieces. What I like about this one is it's 360. It goes into the bottom of the shaft and it goes all the way around, so it sets very, very well on the shaft into the hosel, and you get a concentric fit, right? We want a nice, tight, concentric fit, and that's what we're going to shoot for. We got to go find out first, and then we'll talk about what we're going to do after we find out what we know. Because this is the part when you send these, right? And then we got to figure out how to make them fit in there one way or another. Now, what would you do if it was the other way around? If this was 355 and this was 370, now what can you do? Well, there's only one thing really to do. You got to make this bigger, and we can do that, right? It's only removing a little bit of metal, and we can do that, and you do it by reaming, right? You ream out the last bit of the club. Now you're like, oh, it's going to take out some metal. Yeah, it takes about 1 gram or 2 out of there. Not something that is going to affect center of gravity, nothing that's going to affect the playability. Really, it's just about weight. And if you're really, really wanting to be, you know, truly specific, anal, about it, you could always just put a 2 gram weight in the very end, because they do make them. They're really teeny weeny and have a day. So let's go take this apart and let's figure out if that's really what we need. All right, using my butane torch, I got it nice and hot. We'll see if I can get enough. Nope, not quite. There we go. Took a little more heat than expected, but it got it out there. You see all the stuff that pulls out? There goes the ferrule that I melted. Now that is a coating on there, and you see how sometimes it comes off with the ferrule. Now I got to clean this guy out. All right, we're taking the heads off. Butane torch. 20 seconds in each area, all the way around. All right, that way you don't burn. And you're like, well, Jim, it's a metal, how are you going to burn it? Well, you can. You can get it nice and hot, and you can discolor it. Now, you can take it off easily enough if you got the right stuff, but that's not what it's about. So hold that thought for just a moment. I got yet another guy coming, so hold that moment. See if I can get it off. There we go. Look at that. All right, clean it out with the hosel brush, and we're on to the next one. The shafts came out at 127, 125. They're all within 2 grams of each other, so that's not too bad. All right, we'll take that, especially when you're talking about taper tip, constant weight. You're always going to be trying to maintain the same weight with half-inch increments getting shorter. That's a pretty good, it's a pretty good number. The grips, all 51. Way to go, Golf Pride. And we're using the Golf Pride regular MCC4 All right, there you go. Align. All right, the MCC4 Align. Good morning, friends of McGolf. It is very early in the morning the next day, and I have to go to the other job, but we told Wayne we'd get on these right away, so we're going to finish them before we leave. Now, we've done the gluing like you saw. Well, you didn't see it, but we did. We glued it. And inevitably, you're going to get what I call glue boogers, and that's what this is. You can see right about there. Just a couple, it's when the glue gets in between the ferrule and the hosel. And now if you're using a felt belt like I use, you could probably just, as you're turning it, it'll come off. So however, and just in case, what I'd like to do is, I like flicking them off. There. So now the thing when you do that is you got to be careful that you don't grind into this finish, otherwise you make a scar, and that you can't take out. So particularly if these are smoke colored, right? If they're smoke colored or they're anything but the original coating, you have a real opportunity for scarring, and you might not want to flick the booger. And so that's what you can do. And with this one, with being the original, I was pretty confident with it, and we've done it a few times. So now we're going to finish the ferrule, and we're going to make it all nice and shiny. We're going to cut it the 1/2 inch over, and we're going to bend them and put the grip on it. So I'll show you on the ferrule finishing again, you know, how to rotate into it, and then you'll see some pictures at the end. So let's go make some golf clubs. Is the fact that these are chromed, right? They're kind of a blackish coloring on them, that, you know, most of them are black and they're painted. So just to make sure you don't mar the shaft, I'm the guy that likes using the tape, and then that way if the belt was to hit it, it hits the tape first instead of the shaft, and that way it's protected and looks good. Well, it's the last part of the build. We've got it all done. We use the black ferrules with the We use the black ferrules with the collar because of the wobble that's created when you put a smaller shaft into a bigger hosel. We also put the had Robin cut them down, and Robin put them on because we had to put 3 layers of tape, and then we put the Align grip on it, and then that was the end of that. And so they all looked out and they did pretty good. So we're going to be showing you some pictures when we get this thing done while we're going out. It became really very, very stiff. It became very, because they're S pluses, right? They're going to end up in the higher stiff X range, even higher, but that's what he was looking for, so that's what he got. I really like the way they turned out. The black chrome looks pretty good on the shaft. The ferrules turned out well. I like the black and the white. Good job, William. That was a good pick. And we bent them to where they needed to be, and they were quite out of range. And we made sure the lofts and the lies were in pretty good shape. So hopefully you like what you get, and like always, let's see your scores go low.